Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm around 10 minutes late. Uh, I got overzealous in writing out my plan and putting in a lot of details and explaining some things on the server about just kind of just general gamma reactions and lost track of the time. But let's be here now, as the saying goes, and let's take it from where we are. So basically, we're up a tiny bit from the close yesterday. Let's call it flat. And yesterday was a very narrow range day. Yesterday, 67.22 was the low, and 52 was the high. I think 20 and 50, 55 round numbers. And the expected move was around 30. So we kind of did half the expected move. Or realized volatility was half of expected or implied, so vol sellers win. And broadly, that's probably going to be the setup going forward. Exclamate asterisk, one never knows. Breath was mixed yesterday. It wasn't just a max 7 day. It was kind of a broad-ish, but not great. You can see mixed breath advances 58%, decline is 42%. Yeah, it wasn't a horrible day. It was a choppy day, kind of like we would expect. Now let's talk about VIX expiration real quick. So today is VIX expiration. And so the VIX futures and VIX, the VIX we see, I guess we can call it the cash VIX if there is such a thing, expire at the open, and they have to equal each other, for lack of a better word. And the opening, the official print for what that number is called the SOQ, special opening quote. And it's determined by an arcane process, or at least it's arcane to me. We're at 9 o'clock, through some magic divination, market participants, market makers, I suppose, put in their bid for what they think it's going to be, or however they calculate that. And that often gets wonky, technical term, because if we remember the way VIX pricing happens, the calculations is based on bid on the volatility or the price of strips of options, 30 DTE. Actually, it's Friday bracketing the 30 DTE. And what happens, though, without getting too in the weeds, is at the open, you're going to have some, let's just say, again, hyperbolically, zero bid, $5 ask, or more likely, zero bid, dollar ask on some out of the money stuff or some weird stuff, or 10 cents, 90 cents. So you're going to have some weird bid ask spreads at the open, because that's when it's calculated. They're going to quickly fill in, but then make the number kind of funky. And then things kind of typically settle out somewhere in the AM session, maybe by 10. Sometimes it lingers. Sometimes we have kind of a funny day in general. To whatever extent people haven't put on their VIX, positions for whether it's November or December or January, whatever positions still have to be put on. So things can get a little dicey. So that makes, our visibility gets a little cloudier than usual. And speaking of cloudy visibility, I'm going to switch to the options depth real quick, because the visibility is cloudy. And so here's what we see here. 67.35, where we closed right here. So just as a quick review, bars, lines to the right, these represent market maker position number, the number of positions, how many contracts. You see, I don't know if you can see down here, 4,000, 6,000, whatever the numbers are down here. And to the right is market makers along these contracts. Customer sold them. To the left are market makers short these contracts. Customer bought them. And this is netted out, calls and puts. So what? So when we see a lot of bars to the left, or doesn't matter if we see them or not, bars to the left are where market makers are short gamma, think accelerated move, think, and again, I don't like to use this term when you hear people say, we are in negative gamma and it's going to be accelerated move or it's going to be down. Well, again, I don't know if we're in anything because we have huge positive gamma up here and huge positive gamma down here. But locally, where we're trading, say between 85 on top, which is almost 2x the expected move, and 6,700 on bottom, we are there. Market makers' exposure is with negative gamma, so that can create amplified moves. So all you range traders and scalpers might have yourself a juicy day today. And I'm going to let Ben Ombre talk about that in a minute. Okay, so that's that. So what do we see? What do I expect? What am I looking at? First thing that my eye, well, not the first thing, one of the things that catches my eye is this 67.35.85 market maker long buffers. So bounce between these two. Remember, this is our opening price. So if we open green and stay green, or as long as we stay green, attractant towards, remember, negative gamma attracts. Usually they talk about negative gamma below, which attracts and creates an accelerated move down. Here, there's a potential for an accelerated move up, assuming these positions stay, et cetera, all things being equal. Then we have this kind of ladder up towards 60, top of the expected move, 65, new all-time highs, even up to here, and then we get slammed down by this. And so we have broadly this kind of chop zone, and we could ping between, let's just say, 35 and 55, 65 yesterday, and then get repelled down by this or pulled up by this. So ping pong in the 35, 85 zone, say 75, 50 if we're bullish, or 55. In fact, the 35 pound like yesterday's action if we're kind of a little neutral. Now, if below 67.35, then we kind of have the potential to get sucked down to 67.20, yesterday's low, negative gamma ladder pulling us down. Little bit of a stally feature here, 15 to the 67.05, little bit of a stall over here. But this becomes a powerful magnet and a powerful mental attraction zone, 6,700. And we ask ourselves, do people, let's just pretend we're up here at 35, 40, struggling to stay green. Maybe we undercut a little bit. Do people start loading up buying puts here? And does that pull us down? What happens to these? Do these get monetized? Do these stay? is the stuff at 67.20. So of course there's a lot of things we don't know are going to happen, but these are just kind of levels of the dynamics we have to keep in mind. One more dynamic to keep in mind is that the vol sellers have returned. The institutional iron condor sellers that sell 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 5 wide, 10 wide are back, and they're setting the edges. Yesterday, I only noticed them on the downside, 66.80. So to the extent that they come in and we see them through options depth and room, we flag them. And that tends to set the edges and give us a little better predictive capabilities. But I can't predict now what they're going to do then, although I can kind of guess. And my guess is we're going to see call selling coming in probably somewhere around here, 67.85-ish. I have to check the deltas. We'll look in a minute. Maybe 80. We'll see call sellers come in up here. And this could get a little dicey. And we're going to sell put sellers come in maybe where we saw them yesterday, 66.80, depending where we open and what volatility does. I don't know if people start jumping on buying calls. A lot of times we might see, 1,000 calls or call debit spreads that can shift the day. So that's what's going on here. So the heat map tells a good story. Sometimes the heat map doesn't speak to me, so to speak. So you see the pinkish color? That's negative gamma exposure. So kind of wider ranges in here, but not crazy. This is the theoretical path of least resistance, should everything stay the same. And it pulls up toward 67.70. Why? It pulls up toward this negative gamma. As time passes, if these are there, which they probably won't be, then these gamma is strongest, closest to expiration and closest to spot. So as the minutes to expirate, this is a time axis, as the minutes to expiration tick away, and as if we head toward it, the influence gets stronger. These are a lot of ifs. On the other hand, if we're kind of heading down this way toward the end of the day, then that other cluster, if it's still there, this cluster here becomes the next magnet. And then we have a little possible relief zone here in the 67, 10, 20 area, 6,700 magnetic. Not a lot of pull below, but theoretically, yeah. And on top, breaking 6,800 is going to be a tough ask. Breaking 67.85. Which I don't think anybody really kind of expects, but you never know. It's going to be a tough ask today, barring headlines or whatever. And that's basically it. Let me turn the mic over, reluctantly, because I like to talk. Let me turn the mic over to my buddy, Chewy. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can. At least I can.
Excellent. So I kind of have a little bit of the same perspective today, some range to be traded. However, if we can hold, these are ES numbers, if we can hold above 67.90, I'm gonna expect pretty good move to maybe 68.10, and I do believe that's close to all-time high, not quite all-time high, but right around there, if we can hold above 67.90. Another level that I have, should we dump at, or at least come down at open, I'm going to try and see if 67.55 has a reaction to the upside. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be trading between 75 and 55 for the most of the day.
So let me take a look for a second. On the downside, you're saying, okay. Yeah. So if we pull back to roughly yesterday's low,
Correct.
then you're going to be looking for opportunistic longs back into that zone.
Yes, maybe even a little bit lower than yesterday's low, but yes.
Yeah, an undercut's always good.
Uh-huh.
An undercut reclaim, we always like to see that.
Exactly. That's kind of and the way I think about it is if we come down at open, that makes me bullish. If we hold at open, I think there's a little bit more range to be expected.
I'm not sure what that was. I must have had some pre-market order and it got filled.
I
don't know if it was to sell something at a profit or to buy something cheap, but I'd rather have it have been to sell something than to buy something.
Yeah.
Okay, and I didn't get a chance to put the TV string into this. So this is Mentor Q's levels, and I have discount codes for Mentor Q's gamma and for options depth. I've been remiss in putting them in the chat, and I may or may not get around to doing it today. But yeah, but if you want those discount codes, you can find me, DM me wherever, on Twitter, on Discord, on Substack.
I'll DM you for the options depth one.
Huh?
I'll get the options depth code from you later today.
Yeah. Right. All right. So we have the option depth code and we have the Mentor Q code. I have that somewhere too. And like I said, so speaking of which, we are in the process of cooking up some kind of special, kind of a 3-month package. So it'll be some kind of discounted rate for a 3-month subscription. You can pay monthly, but it's a 3-month commitment, so to speak. I'm going to tell you why I came up with 3 months. I've noticed that when people come into the room and when people start, maybe they're a little familiar with gamma, or they're iron conduit traders, or they're E-mini scalpers. Those are kind of the most common people that are interested in this. Not everybody is interested in SPX and ES pretty much as their main diet. But those people that come into the room often come in that flavor. Somewhat familiar with gamma, somewhat familiar with iron conduit selling or scalping or E-mini scalping. And it takes a while and a lot of reps to kind of get used to looking at this and saying, oh, okay, that picture speaks to me. And, we have got somebody that's new to the gamma world, so to speak, an E-mini scalper that's been working hard, been saying, okay, so what happens? Market makers are short gamma here, so they should do this, they should do that. And sometimes he gets it right, sometimes he gets it wrong, and he's working hard. It's not that he's less clever than anyone else. This just kind of requires a different kind of backwards, forward, sideways kind of thinking that just takes time, and then getting used to the visual display and to how things play out, and then overlaying that mentally on the system that you've used to whatever success that you've used it. And I think 3 months gives you enough time and enough of a mental commitment yourself. You know what? I'm going to give myself 3 months and I'm going to figure this out. And if I've taught you how to fish in 3 months and you want to go off on your own, that's cool too. I mean, it's cool if you don't want to subscribe or stay for 1 month, whatever it is too. But, I feel like I'll have done my job, my part, so to speak. I taught you to fish. After 3 months, I think, you have a fishing license, go fish, live long and prosper. I think that gives you a better chance and a better chance of not giving up after a month or 6 weeks and say, I don't understand this, what's going on here, the hell with it. So I think it gives you a better chance as well. So that's why the 3 month. At least that's what I'm thinking.
And we'll also be launching a promotion for the boot camp. So if you're looking and kind of lost with a strategy, one of our students who hasn't even finished the program, he's already had 3 green days. So we're really about kind of a systematic approach to getting you a good edge to be able to trade these markets as well.
Right, and that's a whole course thing, which would be one of the possible bundles into this whole.
Yeah, so if you got any questions, always feel free to reach out.
Right, exactly. Well said. Need to feel the flow. It takes a while to just feel the flow of all this. If you can overlay your scalping on it, whatever, if you're trading this kind of stuff, you know that you can make decent money and you can lose decent money. And the price of admission, I think, is cheap. Anyway, so yeah, enough of the plugging. On the interesting things of interest note, I don't know how many of you noticed last night after the close, Trump tweeted, I'm going to do 155% tariff on China, and they can't sustain their economy or something like that. Some pretty bellicose tweet. And what happened, they tweeted it. Where was it? Where was it closed? The tweet came out. I forgot. We basically pulled back 5 or 10 points to the low of the day and shot right back up. Can you get Bickus live on the phone? I suppose I call him. He has COVID, so yesterday he was still feeling pretty crappy. Let's see how he's doing today. And let's go back to SPX. Oh yeah, so just for fun, let's switch gears for a second. I don't know how many of you heard or read that Meta is teaming up with Blue Owl Capital or Owl Capital. I'm not sure exactly what they call that, with one of their LLCs or something. No, with Owl Capital to build a data center project in Louisiana that's the size of either 1,700 football fields or 17,000 football fields. Technically speaking, really big ass data center thing, roughly the size of Lower Manhattan from 14th Street down in Louisiana, northeastern Louisiana, I think. And ETR, Energy Partners, which was a spinoff from I forget who, their LLC is handling that. It's a $24 billion deal. So just thought that's something interesting. And Meta is just kind of flat on it. And I see one of the things about Meta Q is they have levels for individual equities. Netflix, which shit the bed yesterday after earnings, is down 6% or so. I used to be an earnings trade person, and my crystal ball, if I had the earnings on my desk, I couldn't tell you what the market reaction is going to be, much less without them on my desk. So I guess I don't really play that game anymore. Once in a while, Dan does a good job with modeling out the volatility, and if he does something, I see that. So, but I'm showing you this to say this. So Netflix, big tank. Texas Instruments TXN, which I don't have on my thing. Huh. TXN, Texas Instruments. Oh, I do have it somewhere. Texas Instruments, the semiconductor giant, similar tank, but if we look, not much of a contagion. I'm not sure what all this crap is. I did that a long time ago. Those were levels I put in like a week ago during the contagion. Those levels are ancient history. I get those levels from a guy. I don't code them myself. I get them from a guy that we kind of help each other out sometime. And I tweet out about him. But anyway, Hugh, really reaction, little reaction. Oh, well, what's going on in the semi space? I don't know. Let's take a look at the usual suspects.
Do we have any big earnings this week?
Yeah, we have all the big earnings this week. We
Okay,
have
thought so.
IBM. Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. We have Tesla at the close today.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. We have Tesla at the close today. I have the list in my thing somewhere. We have Tesla at the close today. See the big E? We have Tesla at the close today. I think we might have LRCX today. Lam Research. There's Tesla. There's LRCX. HIJ. I'm pretty sure we have LRCX. We have IBM today, which suddenly became a monster. It's not your grandfather's IBM anymore. I have the list somewhere. It's in my note. I don't remember. But I mean, clearly, Tesla's the one that everybody's watching. I'm pretty sure it's Lam Research. That's one that I'm watching. I actually own shares. At 200 called away last month, I think. I still have 500, which I really am not selling calls on because I want to keep it. I stole it on some crash, all those pullbacks once upon a time. Yeah, Lam Research is today too. And yeah, we're coming into earnings season, and I put them in my note. And if you subscribe on Substack free or on WHOP, you still get the note. And then when we get to the roadmap and all the nitty gritty and the trading view strings and all that you got to pay for. But the general note, market is up and these are the upcoming earnings and watch out for this. You get that. And I think it's pretty good, if I say so myself. I think it's pretty useful. Anyway. Yeah, I don't really gain anything if you do that. But I think you might. Okay, NVIDIA, no big reaction. Oh, so since we're talking about general market stuff for a second, yesterday a lot of the quantum guys got killed, like the nuclear names. A lot of the names that had been running got killed. Oh, also getting back to SPX for a second. On if when we get a possible pullback, let's remember that the end of October, we have the JP Morgan short call on the JP Morgan collar at 66.50, 6,600 gap fill, 66.50 JP Morgan collar. So all things being equal, if we have some weakness, which, it's possible we have weakness, that seems like a logical place for the weakness to kind of settle in after the dust settles into the end of the month. Oh, let's talk about gold for a second, because that was interesting. Everybody see this? I don't really trade gold, but you got to keep an eye on it. And as you see, we had, I think, a record tank in gold, or pretty close to it, or the biggest one since whenever, since Hector was a pup. And what that was, that's why I was chatting about this with a few people, with the AMCO, a few other people. Crowded trade. Got to be careful in a crowded trade. Do I have GVX on this thing, the gold volatility? We're going to take a look at gold volatility in a second. But what happened, from what I read, is on Friday, we had a crazy amount of call buying in gold. We kind of had a gamma squeeze. Market makers were short gold, and we went flying up here. But then what happens when the music stops? It crashed. So the squeeze, those contracts expired, and now there's nothing to hold it up. And that's kind of what happened. Add whatever macro bullshit on top of that, pardon my French, that you want. But that's kind of what happened. And does it bottom here? Is this a chance to get in? I don't know if the dust settles. Mentor Q actually has gamma levels for this, for futures. So it's worth taking a look at that. I don't know where his put wall is, whatever. 1D min is down here. So it's kind of near where we are. So maybe it's a bottom feed time. Not bottom feed time to get off train if you think the gold is going up. I think it's called GVX. Anybody know offhand? The symbol for volatility of gold. I think it's GVX. No. Anybody know what the gold volatility? Here it is. GVZ. Okay. And so what I thought was interesting was, even though, see how the volatility of gold spiked into the gold spiking? That was a squeeze. Even though gold is going down, gold volatility is going down. Remember, spot vol correlation, one would expect if gold is going down, then the volatility of gold is going down, but it's not. But I mean, again, look at how crazy it got with people chasing gold. And with futures, and I'm not like, futures volatility expert, especially with commodities, because they act funky. There tends to be a bid on the call side, not the put side, so kind of skews are different. But the point that I guess, I thought was interesting was how being that gamma squeeze thing. Let's take a quick look at GLD, which if I would think of trading it, I would look at that. And here's GLD. Gold is one of those things. I got in the high 190s and got out at 210 or 220 and figured I was a genius. Oh, let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin also is kind of been acting a little funky, trying to stabilize. I like trading this thing for my like little side trades because it's got a lot of volatility. You can sell puts, you can sell calls, you could covered call on the IBIT ETF if you want. Butterflies, it's a fun thing to trade. Any other comments? Right now I'm just kind of poking around the chain and seeing what trouble I can get into.
For anyone that is interested in crypto, which I'm personally not, but if you are interested in crypto and prop firms, they will start launching crypto prop firms. I'd say over the next 2 weeks, I have a friend who's launching one, and there's more than one launching. So if that suits your fancy, that's coming soon.
Okay, crypto prop firm. What could possibly go wrong?
We'll see how it goes.
But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of ex-crypto millionaires from the pandemic that now are working at McDonald's. And a few that still have money, but that was kind of a crazy time. But the good news is that it kind of recruited or created a whole new bunch of traders in the younger generation, so to speak, not the 72-year-olds or the baby boomers, but like the Gen, whatever they are, Gen Y, the say the 20 to 35-year-old generation that maybe hadn't been trading much. That's not just good for the industry and all that. And plus liquidity drives markets, and the more liquidity, the better, if you ask me. Not that anybody asked me. Okay, anyway, I'm just rambling now, having fun, so I'm going to go put on some trades.
All right, see you guys in there.